She demanded, "Sell your dog. It's me or him." I replied, "He's family, you're a guest." Vet records, walk routes, and chewed leashes tell a truer story than ultimatums. I chose loyalty over noise. He stayed. The only thing I rehomed was the drama. Kelly hit me with the ultimatum in the middle of our Denver living room, standing between the fiddle-leaf fig and Cooper's bed like a referee about to throw a flag. "Sell Cooper or we're done." She did the big theatrical sneeze, peeled 2 gold hairs off her black coat with a face like she'd touched battery acid, and waited for me to fold. For the first 18 months she hugged my golden retriever daily, posed with him under the purple dusk at Washington Park, even bought him ridiculous tartan bow ties and a pumpkin costume that barely fit his barrel chest. The allergy showed up right after her sister, Brooke, moved back from Austin and started chirping. "Serious couples don't keep big dogs in apartments. It's unsanitary." The script kept getting uglier. At Jamie's dinner, Kelly raised her glass and announced, "Ethan puts a dog above my health." Like a toast. She made me lint roll a chair because of hair while people watched the spectacle. The next morning at a Cap Hill cafe, Cooper licked her hand, gentle, grateful, and she launched into wheezy theater loud enough to tilt every head. Barista froze mid-pour. Couple left their pastries. That afternoon she posted a story over a beige aesthetic background. "Grown men choose women, not leashes." The comments from her friends came fast. Boundaries, healthy standards, Rehomed king. And Brooke DM'd me a link to a trainer who places problem dogs. Cooper isn't a problem. He's loyal to a fault. I tracked what I could measure. HEPA filters, fresh. Our Merv 13s swapped monthly. I've got the Amazon receipts. Grooming every 3 weeks at the shop on Pearl. Short trim for summer. Nails. Blueberry facial he tolerates like a saint. I vacuum with a Miele C3. The bags cost more than decent wine. I even bought a Coway air purifier for the bedroom and changed out the rugs for low pile. When she forgot her Allegra before brunch, I offered mine. She waved it off. When I asked for an allergy test result, she said HIPAA like it was a spell. What she did send was a photo of a printout with no name, no date, cropped like a ransom note. Cooper's not a luxury. He's the constant through an 8-year span of layoffs, late-night ramen, and the week my grandfather died and the house smelled like old books and lemon oil. I adopted him with a $75 fee from the shelter in Golden. His microchip is registered to me, and the lease addendum lists 1 domestic dog under 55 pounds, signed by both tenants. On paper, he lives here as of right. Still, I played it different. "You're the priority," I told her steady, because I didn't want another public scene. The truth was simpler and colder. My priority is the one who never betrays. The one who rests his chin on my knee through spreadsheets. The one who learned stay and actually does. Brooke kept escalating. She came by to help with eucalyptus bundles and a smug diffuser, then casually asked for Cooper's vaccination card for her files, as if she were animal control. She floated rehoming temporarily with her ex, a guy who leaves beer in hot trunks. Kelly started talking like a landlord. "We need a dander-free environment." She also started dropping possession words. "My apartment, my bedroom." Even though the rent hits from my account and the lease lists us both. I countered with facts. I booked a duct cleaning. I sent Kelly the invoice. I moved Cooper's bed from the hallway to my office, closed the door, and ran the purifier at level 3. I bought an inexpensive room divider so we could create a genuine dog-free zone. I offered to board him for a weekend trial just to test her symptoms. She shook her head and said, "I'm not negotiating with a fur problem." Then, "Sell him, Ethan. I'm not living like this." That word "sell" hit differently. Cooper isn't a bike. He isn't a second-hand amp. He's a golden with a muzzle just starting to frost, who knows the route around the duck pond by muscle memory. My grandfather used to say, "You don't trade family for convenience." I looked at Kelly, then at the bow tie she'd once tied with a laugh, and I felt something harden that doesn't unharden. I said, evenly, "Okay, you're the priority." And I started planning around the person who didn't flinch at thunder and never weaponized a sneeze. While Kelly hit Pilates 6 p.m., reformer class at the studio on 6th, I sat at the kitchen island with my laptop and a legal pad. I called Nate, my realtor, and said the line I'd rehearsed twice. List the Lodo condo immediately. Price it to move. The place is mine alone. Deed recorded 2018. Fixed rate at 3.25%. Homestead filed after the pandemic refinance. On paper, Kelly's a month-to-month occupant under a simple roommate addendum with 30 days notice. Inconvenient, not impossible. We built a timeline. Photos Friday, live on MLS Saturday morning. First showings that afternoon. I boxed the sentimental stuff that could stage poorly. Cooper's chewed antler, the Broncos blanket, the slow feeder bowl. I labeled everything with blue painter's tape like a foreman. Keep, storage, stage. Nate emailed the listing agreement at 6:42. I signed on my phone. Then I opened Zillow and filtered houses east, Aurora, Centennial, even a little Parker non-negotiable. Fenced yard, 8,000 plus square feet lot, vinyl or wood, not chain link. 3 matches. One had a red maple and a dog door already cut into the mudroom. I saved it with a star and sent a quiet text to my banker about pre-approval refresh. Same job, same income. Target close, 30 days. Pet clause essential. That night I cooked. Rigatoni, Jared arrabbiata improved with garlic and a splash of the good olive oil. Kelly came home dewy and bright, Lululemon matching set, and I set down the fork mid-bite. I'm selling the condo, I said, neutral as a spreadsheet. We need a clean start. Lower HOA, less downtown noise. Her eyes lit, calculation behind the sparkle. She thought clean meant dog-free. And Cooper? She asked. I held the gaze. I'm finding the perfect family. I won't rush it. She exhaled, relief wrapped in triumph. Thank you, she said, like a manager approving a plan I drafted. It bought time and cast me as the responsible, considerate owner. I booked a grooming for Cooper and a 3-day board with Mark, my buddy from the makerspace who has a backyard and a saintly patience for fetch. He'll get a vacation, Mark said. I Venmo'd him $120 with a note. Coop's retreat. 2 days later, a white post sprouted by our window. For sale /Nate R/Coldwell. Brooke left a syrupy voicemail inside the hour. Finally, you're putting Kelly's health above that mutt. I saved it to a folder named records/messages/Brooke. Timestamps matter. I screenshotted the call log too. Showings started fast because Lodo inventory is tight. I scheduled them in blocks, Saturday 1 to 3, Sunday 11 to 1, so I could make the place look like a hotel. Cooper went to Mark's with his Kong, his vet records, and the plaid bow tie Kelly once picked. The condo smelled like lemon and paint. I hid the Miele vacuum in the trunk and wiped the stainless until I could plug a shaving mirror with my reflection. Kelly floated through like a future homeowner influencer. She started saying our next place and we tried out phrases like nursery potential and put a Pinterest board on the TV during dinner. She never asked to see the names on my deed. She never asked if month-to-month could be terminated. She never asked whether a clean start includes her. I drove Aurora side streets between showings, windows down, scouting fences. One cul-de-sac had 3 labs sprawled on turf like bears. A ranch on Elkhart had a side gate wide enough for a riding mower and a shade tree just right for a summer nap. The best one, 3-bed, brick, sat on a corner lot with a welded steel gate and a gravel run set up like someone had loved a dog the way I do. The listing said no HOA. The photos showed a mudroom with a built-in bench and cubbies. I could picture Cooper doing his full-body shake after Cherry Creek. Water arcing, me not flinching. At home, I printed the lease, the addendum, and the pet clause. I highlighted lines like a student. Pet. 1. Domestic dog authorized. Tenancy. Month to month. Either party may terminate with 30 days written notice. I slid the packet into a plastic sleeve and put it with the realtor docs in a banker's box under the bed. Systems soothe me. Systems keep feelings from steering. Kelly's friends started soft-selling futures. Brunch at Sassafras. Mimosas sweating, Kelsey said. New place, new rules, no fur in the bedroom. Right, Ethan? Smile like a test. Right? I said evenly. We'll have zones. Kelly preened. I pictured zones 2, yard, mudroom, office, and the door that locks behind someone who thinks sell applies to a family member. By Monday, Nate had 3 offers over ask with escalation clauses, inspection waivers, and 1 buyer who wanted my bar stools as part of the deal. I told him we'd review at 7:30. I stood in the dark, phone glowing, and felt the plan click a notch forward. The cold part wasn't cruelty. It was clarity. List the home that is legally mine. Create a runway. Secure a yard for a golden who never weaponizes a sneeze. And keep every receipt. House number 3 clicked the second I stepped from the driveway onto the turf. Modest brick ranch, long eaves, a maple older than both of us throwing afternoon lace across a fenced yard. South-facing kitchen, mudroom with a dog door already cut. No HOA to argue about gates or gravel runs. I texted Nate 1 word, offer, and wired earnest money from savings Kelly didn't know existed. The windfall from a freelance analytics contract I'd tucked into a separate high-yield account the week before she moved in. Seller accepted by lunch. Close in 21 days. Possession at funding. That night, I floated the simplify pitch. To keep the condo sale clean, let's shut the joint account and cover expenses separately until we find a new place. I said it like a suggestion, not a maneuver. She agreed instantly, already curating sterile. No pets condos on her phone. White couches, glass coffee tables, captions like, so clean. I moved autopays to my personal checking, canceled her authorized user card again for good measure, and exported the last 3 months of statements to PDF. Receipts live longer than promises. The public jabs didn't slow. At Sam's birthday, Kelly grabbed my coat sleeve mid-hug and snapped it like a flag. Here's why I cough. Laughter, then the tacky silence people pretend is a joke landing. In an Uber she fake coughed until the driver asked if we needed to pull over. We did, and I tipped 40% because she turned a ride into theater. At her parents' place in Highlands Ranch, Brooke twisted the knife between salad and roast. I know a farm friend. Cooper can be a guard dog. I pictured my golden chain to a shed and felt the temperature in my wrists drop. I'm still interviewing families, I said, calm as a memo. Kelly pressed, you're dragging it out. I held her gaze. I'll handle it. Meanwhile, the condo moved like a stock on news. Nate printed open house flyers with bullet points and a little gray line at the bottom that most people miss. Seller has already secured next home at 4813 Maple Ridge Drive. I didn't point it out. People reveal themselves by what they read. When Kelly left for a hair appointment, I drove to the ranch with an air mattress, 2 Rubbermaids, and Cooper's bed rolled like a sleeping bag. I set the alarm code, temporary. I'd change it later, filled the dog's bowl from a gallon jug, and opened the back door. Cooper trotted into the yard and did a fast figure 8, sniffing fence posts like he was reading a book. He found the maple's shadow and flopped, tongue out, the kind of side dogs give when they know they're allowed to belong. We slept there that night, me on plastic crackle, him with his nose in my palm, the house ticking as it cooled. First deep sleep in months. Money moves next. I routed my salary to the personal account, set up utilities at Maple Ridge, and sent the condo's buyer a clean list of fixtures that would stay. I ordered a HEPA for the office anyway. Habits stick. I also photographed every item that could sprout a dispute. Bar stools, framed map of the 1976 trail, the Japanese chef's knife my uncle gave me. Time-stamped, saved to drive/condo/inventory. The cracks spread under the paint. Kelly started pronouncing Aurora like a punchline. She toured a pet-free loft and texted me, "Imagine no hair." I answered, "Imagine a yard." She tried a different angle budget. "Let's put both names on the new deed." I responded with weather. Storm rolling in. "We'll talk later." She hated later. Brooke's chorus got louder. "Real couples share," she DM'd. "What's yours is ours." I replied with a single screenshot. Condo deed, my name alone. Recorded date circled. No caption. She sent a thumbs down. Nate called with weekend stats, 26 parties through, 3 serious, 1 love letter about raising a hypoallergenic doodle. I laughed once, humorless. We'll counter at 9, I said. Then I packed a second carload toolbox, records, the Mila, and drove back to Maple Ridge. Cooper met me at the gate with a stuffed duck in his mouth like he'd been waiting 8 years to hand me his heart. I locked the door behind us and, for once, didn't rehearse a speech. The plan was working. House secured, accounts clean, paper trail neat, and the person who never weaponized a sneeze asleep under a maple we could both learn by heart. Morning of the open house, my phone lit up at 8:06. First Kelly. What is Maple Ridge, dear? It has a huge yard. What did you do? Then Brooke at 8:09. Voice at a shriek pitch that spikes recordings. You bought a house for a dog? Psycho. I answered evenly. Open house starts at 1. Please pick up Kelly's things by noon. Boxes are in the living room. Brooke snapped. You can't kick her out. I said. She's month to month, not on my deed, and she's not on the new one. She's a guest with notice. Noon. I lined Banker's boxes in rows. Closet, Winter, Bath, Kelly, Misk, Brooke. An inventory sheet clipped to each lid with a binder clip, checkmarks by the hairdryer, the Dutch oven, the stack of decor books she never opened beyond the covers. Nate arrived at 10:30 with a roll of shoe covers and a lockbox. We staged. Lemons in a bowl, towels folded with hotel corners, blinds up to catch the glint on the quartz. Cooper was already at Maple Ridge with Mark for a yard romp. Clean air, quiet hallways. You could hear the elevator ping like a metronome. At 11:47, the sisters screeched to the curb in Brooke's white RV4, hazard lights blinking like a tantrum. I was carrying the last box, Bath Kelly, when they clattered up the stairs. You said I was your priority, Kelly sobbed. Volume just high enough for the hallway mic. I kept my voice under control and audible. I prioritized one thing, removing blackmail and humiliation from our lives. For me and for Cooper. A couple in Patagonia fleeces paused at the end of the hall, then pretended to read the flyer. Brooke pointed at Nate. You can't sell this with her stuff inside. Nate, a veteran of worse, lifted a palm. Items are boxed and tagged for pickup. Ma'am, step back from the door. Brooke lunged. He took a half step, produced his phone and said, very calm. Another step and I called DPD. We don't interfere with open houses. Kelly's breath hitched into a performance cough, then a sob. He's emotionally abusive, she announced to the stairwell. I said nothing. The inventory speaks better than I do. Noon. I set a dolly by the door, rolled out 2 stacks, and kept moving. Early buyers arrived 11:58. A young pair with a doodle keychain. 12:04. A woman with a tape measure. 12:07. A dad with a notebook. Kelly planted herself between me and the elevator and tried a final angle. At least leave Cooper until I adjust. I looked at her, then at the box labeled kitchen, spices. You called him a mutt and a health hazard. He's not an air filter I can swap back in. She cried harder. Buyers watched, then avoided eye contact, then watched again. Human nature. By 12:20, the spectacle became a story the condo told for us. The ex who wants a pet-free loft, the owner who keeps his paperwork. Sympathy ran toward the person with the clipboard. Nate turned traffic like a conductor. The sisters finally dragged boxes to the RAV4, slammed doors, and left a last message with their tail lights. Anger always writes in red. At 1:05, the first offer hit, list plus $12,000, inspection waived. At 1:38, a second list plus $27,000, proof of funds attached, close in 2 weeks, possession at funding. I texted Mark, 2 over ask, taking the top. He replied with a photo. Cooper under the maple, eyes half closed, a stuffed duck between his paws. I felt the corners of my mouth lift for the first time since winter. Kelly returned at 2:10 with Brooke and a stern-looking friend who announced herself as here to witness. I handed over a manila envelope. Printed notice terminating the month-to-month at 30 days, with today's date, and a line that read access by APPT only. You can retrieve anything we missed by scheduling with Nate, I said. I'll be at Maple Ridge. Code will change at 5. Brooke hissed, "You can't do that." I pointed at the notice. "I just did. It's lawful. And it's necessary." The witness friend scanned it, then tucked her chin, seeing the letterhead. At 3:12, the buyers with the tape measure came back for a second look. They asked about noise, water pressure, sunlight. They did not ask about drama. They'd already seen it and priced it in. At 3:40, we signed the counter, then the acceptance. Nate shook my hand and said, "Nice defense." I said, "No, just boundaries." I drove to Maple Ridge with the Mila in the trunk and the bar stools bungeed down. I changed the alarm code, moved the banker's box of deeds into the hall closet, and walked into the yard. Cooper trotted over, rested his head on my thigh, then pressed his ribs against my shin like a promise. I clipped on his leash, not as apology but as ritual, and we did a slow loop under the maple. "You're a guest," I told Kelly. Here, the sentence finally fit the world. A guest without keys, a chapter closed by paperwork, and a yard that belongs to the two of us. The smear started a day after closing. Instagram first, then a Facebook blast from Brooke's wellness journey page. He made a sick woman homeless for a dog. She used a photo of Kelly in a scarf, eyes red, and tagged me like a wanted poster. Comments rolled: abuser, financially manipulative, monster with a mutt. I didn't argue in threads. I posted once, 7:42 p.m., from Maple Ridge, a photo of Cooper midair over the grass, ears out like wings. Caption: chose loyalty over noise. Some things aren't for sale. Swipe 2 was Brooke's voicemail. "Finally, you're putting Kelly's health above that mutt." With a transcription overlay and the date stamp. I left it at that. Fence sitters went quiet. 2 friends DM'd apologies. Didn't know the lease situation, and Brooke's been intense. One wrote, "I'm sorry I laughed at the coat thing." I replied with a thumbs up and left the read receipts on purpose. At 9:11, Kelly texted, "Take this down. You're humiliating me." I answered, "Your sister published first." I published facts. The next morning, Kelly's mom called from a withheld number. Voice like porcelain, "Ethan, do the right thing. Either take her back or split the sale money. She gave you her best years." I stood at the maple and watched Cooper chase a squirrel shadow. "The deed and mortgage were mine before Kelly," I said. "She contributed utilities. I've already forwarded receipts for each month with her name. If Kelly needs housing, the best place is the one she grew up in. Not my guest room." Dead air poured through the line, then a polite click. By Thursday, Brooke escalated to HR tone emails. Subject lines like, "Cease harm." She CC'd my boss once. IT filtered it as spam because of the all caps and 3 exclamation points. I archived and screen captured everything into drive/disputes/Brooke. That afternoon, a courier dropped a manila envelope. Demand for payment, $60,000 for emotional distress, joint investments, and lost social capital, which isn't a line item recognized by any court I've met. They gave me 72 hours. I forwarded it to Dana, my attorney, with 3 attachments: deed, month-to-month addendum, bank statements, and 1 line, "Your move." Dana called me from a parking garage, voice echoing, "Cute letter. Here's our reply." She fired back a package on letterhead. 1. Warranty deed, recorded 2018. 2. Amortization and payment history from my lender. 3. 3 months of joint account statements showing that her transfers covered Excel and internet, not principal or taxes. 4. The roommate addendum establishing Kelly as a month-to-month occupant. 5. A preservation of evidence notice regarding defamatory publications with a fee-shifting clause. 6. The Brooke voicemail transcript as proof of malice and meddling. Her closer. Any further public falsehood will result in a defamation action and a motion for fees. She CC'd their firm Gmail. Silence is a sound. Posts vanished within hours. Archive bubbles where accusations lived. The Facebook blast got replaced by a smoothie recipe. Brooke pivoted to cleansing spaces and a sponsored diffuser. Kelly set her IG to private. The witness friend removed the word abusive from a comment thread. and the timestamp left a clean scar. I took screenshots of the deletions too. Absence is evidence when discovery starts. Without the digital crowd, real life expanded. I built a fence gate latch that actually swings shut. The old one sagged. I put rubber pads under the Mila so it doesn't vibrate the mudroom shelf. I scheduled Cooper's vet check, heartworm negative, weight 64.8. The vet wrote, excellent coat, and gave him a biscuit he took like a gentleman. Nights, I fall asleep to leaves ticking glass and a dog sighing in his sleep. Then a final ping. Kelly, 1:13 a.m., the kind of hour that makes honesty more likely. Do you ever feel guilty? She wrote. I stared at the screen, counted to 8 and typed. About not being clearer sooner, yes. About refusing to sell family, no. 3 dots pulsed, then nothing. I printed Dana's letter and slid it into the hall file under legal. I added a note in pen. Outcome. Posts deleted. No further contact. Demand withdrawn. I'm not naive. People circle back when attention dries up. But the yard is proof against reruns. We still walk loops at 6:30. Fog lifting off the grass like steam off soup. Cooper carries the stuffed duck until he sees a crow and drops it like serious work has arrived. The house breathes. My phone stays face down. If there's a cost, it's that I now treat promises like contracts and public kindness like a possible camera test. But there's a gain measurable and daily. A gate that latches, a leash that isn't a metaphor, a file of receipts instead of excuses, and a maple that shades the exact patch where a golden curls, secure in the simplest verdict I've ever reached, loyalty paid in full. Kelly moved into Brooke's perfect one-bed. A sterile cube with a fig that keeps dying and a no pets clause in bold on page 2. Through friends I heard the updates in clipped sentences over coffee lids. Non-stop fights about dishes and diffusers, cardboard still stacked a month in, Brooke complaining, she ruined my life, and Kelly picking up a second job to float rent that looked smaller on Zillow than it does in real time. Someone sent me a story of their white couch under plastic like a showroom. Comments capped with clean girl era. Then turned off when roaches from the alley found the sugar jar. I didn't reply. Distance is discipline. Our sale closed on clean terms, no split. Because there was nothing to split. Funds hit my account at 11:06 a.m. I moved a chunk into the mortgage principal at Maple Ridge and the rest into a rainy day reserve labeled dog and house. Untouchable. I ordered a brass nameplate for the gate. Cooper. If you know, you know. Life's cadence normalized the way a metronome quiets nerves. Morning loops at 6:30, coffee steam, the maple shading a patch that drifts west by inches each week. I installed a hose timer, planted thyme along the walkway, and fixed the back step where a shoe catches. The neighbors learned our names in the order people prefer, dog first, then mine. Morning, Cooper. Morning, Ethan. When a kid on a scooter asked if he could throw the duck, Cooper sat, vibrating like a humming engine, waiting for the word. That's loyalty in motion. Ready but patient. I kept the file. Vet records, groomer receipts, the lease addendum, the warranty deed, the screenshots. Paper isn't romance, but it defends it. When my brain starts rewriting the past, was I harsh? Could I have waited longer? I read Brooke's voicemail transcript and the defamation draft and remember the coughing theater in the Uber, the lint shake in front of friends, the farm guard dog offer. Then I look at the yard. Repetition teaches the lesson better than rage does. I also kept my promise from day one, stripped of performance. I said, he's family, you're a guest. It sounded cold then. Now it reads as a boundary anyone could live by. A guest without keys can't rearrange your cabinets. A guest can't demand you sell your table to make room for their suitcase. A guest says thanks. Not if you loved me, you'd cut a leg off. Some friends drifted and then drifted back, embarrassed not by taking sides but by doing it loudly. One brought over a bottle with a note. For the yard that's not up for debate. We sat on the porch while Cooper patrolled for moths, tales of light he never catches, and the topic eventually shrank to weather and the Nuggets. That's another quiet win. Small talk when you want it, silence when you don't. Kelly called once from a new number. I let it go to voicemail. Her voice sounded tired, older by a season. We could have compromised, she said. I replayed where we tried HEPA filters, grooming, zone rules, the offer to board him for a weekend, the request ignored for a real allergy test. Compromise isn't code for surrender the part of you that kept you alive. I deleted the message and blocked the number. My phone is not a courtroom. I don't know rebuttals there. Work evened out. I shipped 2 projects on time, the kind of clean dashboards that make managers nod. At lunch, I walk the greenbelt, count herons, and send photos to myself like postcards. I learned the maple's real name from a neighbor, Autumn Blaze, and the way its leaves go orange before the night carries that penny metal smell. Cooper's muzzle grays another millimeter. We earned that silver together. The real win isn't the over-ask price or the letter on legal paper that made the posts vanish. It's quieter. It's the back door cracked at dusk, crickets testing microphones, and a dog choosing to sleep with his nose in your palm because he can. It's vet notes, weight steady, heart good, stacked next to a folded leash with teeth marks like hieroglyphs that only we read. It's walking past mirrors and not bracing for an ambush disguised as intimacy. It's standing on your own porch, light off, and knowing every living thing inside the fence is safe not because you conquered anything, but because you refused a sale. She wanted a world without a dog. She got it. I got a home where fur isn't shame and love isn't leverage. The gate clicks. The latch holds. We do another slow loop under the maple, and the yard remembers our steps.